Hello, everybody. Welcome to Arsenal X NGR Radio's Xbox podcast. As always, we have to throw up the X. Jesse, did you throw up your X? Oh,
yeah,
there you go. This is a Skype delay, everybody, so I apologize. Because we're about to throw down. Join me, as always, it's the wise Wisconsinite, Mr. Jesse Douglas.
How's it going?
And Bossman himself, Mr. Corey Dirrig.
I'm here. Woohoo!
Yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to make everything quick.
Yes. Hopefully everybody enjoyed last week's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed the Halo Infinite discussion. We're going to give Jesse response and opinion about that, but we're going to do that later on. We won't have any Arsenal news in this episode, because we're going to try to keep it short, hopefully a little bit brief, but we're going to have a good discussion. To give you guys a head up, we still are going to do what's in our arsenal, but we are going to come with one game of what we've been playing. We're all going to jump into the Halo Infinite response from Jesse, and then we're going to actually go into the roadmap of Microsoft for 2019. So there's going to be a lot of wild speculations and stuff, but we're going to be taking an outlook of what Microsoft probably has in store for us for 2019. So we're going to start into what's been in our arsenal, and I'm going to start with you, Corey, because if you're going to talk about a particular game, I'm going to have some opinions about it, but I have a different game that I'm going to be talking about. So what's been in your arsenal?
Well, in terms of Xbox, Darksiders 3, I've been playing a little bit of that. I mean, I haven't played much. I've probably played about, being super thorough, I've probably played about 2 hours of it. And I'm not saying it's the best game this year, but it's the game that I needed right now. It's really kind of just... I don't know. I do have some issues with it. Like, I don't think Fury controls as fluid as you want her to. And, like, I think the world is very... As pretty as it is, it's very empty and very kind of, like, deliberately empty. But you still feel like it's empty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I understand the world is designed to be that way, but it still feels empty. It's weird because, like, you look at a game like Breath of the Wild that is deliberately empty, but it never really feels empty. You know what I mean? And granted, this team's been through a lot. Their studio got shut down and THQ got shut down. They all kind of scattered, and then they brought back like a part of the team and have new members. That team's only about 50 to 60 people, and the fact that they got to make another Darksiders game is a feat, a victory in itself, like,
yes,
and this feels like a game. This feels like a team that hasn't really worked together before is making a game for the first time, right?
Yes,
and that kind of shows, but it is fun. Like that first boss fight against Envy, which actually comes up really quick in that game, was really cool, and like it really showed you, like, the combat and what you it felt very it feels Darksider feels like my first Souls game is the best way to describe it, I think.
Like a tutorial.
Yeah,
in a way.
It's my first Dark Souls game is what it feels like. But it also feels like it wants to be two different games, It feels like it wants to be a stylized action game like DMC and Bayonetta while trying to fit into a Dark Souls game, which, I think Bloodborne was pretty successful at that in terms of like making the action faster while still feeling like a Souls game, where this doesn't know when to be what game, if that makes sense. So that kind of messes with you, but at the same time, it's like, look, I'm pressing X. I'm using this really cool whip to kill enemies. I think Fury looks cool. It's really over the top in the cheesiest, best way possible. And Ed, we're big fans of Darksiders, just in terms of the idea anyway. Maybe the games aren't the best, but the idea of Darksiders is really cool.
Yes, and, I agree.
I forget what show I was listening to, but they said if I wanted to make a video game, Darksiders would be the video game I would want to make. I was like, yes, that's how I feel about Darksiders. If I made a really cool video game, I would want it to look like Darksiders. The visuals are really cool. Like, I think Fury looks great. I think the character models, like, granted, it kind of looks like a late generation 360 game up-res, but I don't care. I think it looks really cool. The environments look really cool. I was actually really impressed coming from a 60-man team, with how the way the game looks. So Darksiders, I think, not quite Game of the Year material, we're going to say, but it is the game that I want to play right now, So it's cool. I really like it. I think the fact that you're hunting down the seven deadly sins is really cool. The fact that you get to see the fourth horseman for the first time was really cool. But that's what I've been playing. I again prepping for all this Game of the Year stuff for all the shows and getting Jason his new thumbnails for their new shows and just prepping for NGR's Game of the Year stuff and the watch along. It's been a really busy week. I haven't really had time to sit down and play games, really. Also, Tetris on Switch. Playing a lot of Tetris on Switch. By the way, Poo Poo Tetris, the demo is free on Switch, and you can play unlimited Tetris. I haven't made that public service announcement in a while.
Marketing.
But I think Fury is a cool character. I for some dumb reason, I think she's just a really cool looking character. I don't know why. Like, I mean, she's not like amazing looking, but it's just like I like watching the character move and stuff, and she's really sassy and really deliberate. And I'm like, yeah, believe in you. War should be chained up because he's a jerk. I don't know. It's just fun. Anyways, I'm done now.
Jesse, what's been in your arsenal?
All right, so I
won a game.
What? Just one game?
Won a game.
I know what game I want you to talk about.
There's like at least two of them.
What, you're going to talk about one?
I want you to talk about Mutant Year Zero.
Well, I'll just to keep it short. Yeah, I played that. It's a lot of fun. It's better than XCOM. Like, because XCOM, I tried that, couldn't get into it really. But that game actually holds my attention, like Mutant Year Zero. But I still haven't played a whole lot of it yet. So that's why I'll just keep it short, and at that, once I play it more, I can talk about it more.
How long did you play it for?
Probably like an hour and a half or an hour.
Well, that's good. Does it give you a pretty good idea of what you like about like the gameplay and characters and stuff like that?
Yeah, they go for the humor for sure. It's like it's fun, it's probably just me because the one character is a duck, like it reminds me a lot of like Howard the Duck, like that kind of humor, like of that. And
it's not grid based, is it?
It's exactly like Mario Rabbids, okay. Like where you've got like I believe pretty much that it's like there's so many spaces that you can move from your spot or whatever.
Okay.
And then and then there's obstacles in the way that can block you from different things, and then or become cover if you need it to make it less or more of a chance of you getting hit. So or shooting them as well. Obviously there's certain things that you can't shoot around or whatever. So it's a lot like Mario. Like, it feels like the adult version of Mario Rabbids, like, basically, like the adult game, that you could play if you don't feel like playing Mario Rabbids. But
I don't know if you guys have ever watched the show The Goldbergs, but there's an episode of that show, you just reminded me of that, where it's because it takes place in the 80s, and the grandpa is taking the youngest son because he knows he likes George Lucas and Star Wars and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to convince him to go see this movie, and they end up going to see Howard the Duck because it's written and directed by George Lucas, and he's like, the next big thing by George Lucas, it can't fail, and it ends up being Howard the Duck. And they just like, they're so confused because they're showing the scene where what's her face from Back to the Future and Howard the Duck are getting ready to, like, I don't know,
bang out.
I don't know how that works with a duck and a human, but they're getting ready to do that, and they're like, what are we watching? Are they really doing it? Yep, they're doing it. And then they just like walk out of the theater. They're like, I'm leaving. And the kid's like, you can do that? It's a good episode. It's funny.
Yeah,
it's a good show.
I need to watch that.
It's on Hulu.
I hear a lot of good stuff about it all
my
the
wife,
time.
My wife and I just binged like 5.5 seasons in like 3 weeks. In like 3 weeks. It's so good. And it's not like a show you need to keep up on to enjoy an episode, like there's not really like a overarching like.
Yeah.
But it's just comedy.
Yeah.
It's like
it's
a typical good sitcom.
Yeah, it's
typical
real good
sitcom.
It's really good. Like, there's a lot of like throwbacks, and there's a lot of like there's a whole episode revolving around Zelda, and then yeah, it's just really good. I really recommend that show to anybody who wants just like a good family feel good sitcom. It's not overly dramatic. There's no like downer episodes.
Yeah,
it's just like a feel good show.
It's like 25 minutes per episode.
Yeah,
I got one.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and the cast is really good too.
Yeah,
I just like the cast.
Yeah,
that's why I want to look into it more. But yeah, and then the only other thing that I wanted to talk about. I'm talking about it.
Let him talk about it. It's fine.
I finished. I beat Resident Evil 4.
Oh, that's why I didn't want him to talk about it.
No, I thought we were going to talk about Call of Duty, and I was just like, okay, we know.
No.
Because hey Jesse, did you play Call of Duty recently? Did you win?
Of course I did.
Did you hear that? That Activision and Blizzard is splitting the blackout mode for $30 on PC.
Oh yeah, they've been doing that for a while though. Like
I didn't know.
They've been splitting the multiplayer and the campaign out for $30 for on PC for a while.
Oh, okay.
Just on PC though.
Yeah.
They don't offer.
But yeah, so
console scrubs that courtesy.
Yeah, so I just thought it would be funny. Secretly I've been playing Resident Evil 4, and because I'd always give Ed a hard time, and I was just like, you know what?
I don't know how
I'll just suck it up and just finish it so I can say that I beat it, and so then I can say.
Did you say you beat it in 4 days?
Yeah, probably like closer to maybe 5.
Right.
It's quite of a long,
it's quite of a long game. So
it was about 18 hours, a little over 18 hours that I put into it. yeah, I won't talk about it too much, but it just never got better. Like, like as I went on, I got used to it, but it never actually got better. Like I just like one of the major issues that I was having with it would be like, I'd be looking at an area and you go to look down sight, pull your gun up and look down sight, and my character would move over to there instead of like right where I was looking, and that would happen almost every single time I looked down sight. So like zombie would be, or the guys would be right in front of me, and I'd be looking at them, go to look down sight to get a better shot, and my character would turn and look way off to the right somewhere, and then it would screw up everything, and I was just having a lot of issues like that just completely like made the experience just not fun at all. Like nothing about it I enjoyed. So like I don't know. I kind of had that feeling from the beginning, and that's why I didn't really even want to play it at all or even give it a try, was because it just so many things right off the bat were just get red flags for me. But I just was like, what the heck, I'll just finish it anyway so I can say I have. But yeah, so such a bad game.
It's not.
Yeah, it is.
You just don't know how to play it. So.
No, but, like if you're looking somewhere and your character just keeps on turning, like I know how to play it. It's just not doing what it should be doing.
I'm trying to figure out.
It's a thing where the game was. It's a game lost. It had its time and place, and every time they re-release it, they refuse to update the controls to modern controls, and it's just trying to play that game with one stick instead of two is just like, oh man.
Yeah.
So
they just need to fix the problems. They're not even fixing.
Don't worry, Jesse. Resident Evil 2 remake's coming out, and it'll fix all the problems you had with Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if Resident Evil 4 is going to get remade at some point.
Didn't you say it's going to be put on Switch?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting the port.
So is 1 and 0.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the 1.
Bad there too.
I'm excited for 1.
Yeah.
0's whatever. It's probably going to come with 1, so they can say they sold copies of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get into what I've been playing.
Nobody cares what you've been playing.
What's been in my arsenal? Yes, they do care. Started up actually the Search, and going from Darksiders 3 to the Search. I'm not knocking the Search for what it is. I think it kind of plays easier for me with other than Bloodborne and Neo. I think maybe the one problem I may have with it is that targeting different areas to attack to get like the weak points and stuff. You kind of do that with the R analog stick. So that might be a problem because sometimes it doesn't register right before you get attacked. The light attack is on the RB, and like the hard attack is like on right trigger. They call it vertical or horizontal attacks and stuff. But it's not bad. It feels going from Darksiders 3 to the Surge. It's just like, okay, Darksiders 3 is a little bit more tighter, a little bit more clean in its action and how you fight enemies and stuff. And the Surge is kind of just like it's on the level of the Technomancer, but way better, like way further polished than the Technomancer. So
we've talked about the Technomancer more this year than I think anybody's talked about that game since it came out.
Pretty much. But I'm not knocking the Search. The Search is a really good game. I think even
the developers of the Technomancer are like, all right, guys, cool it down. The game's not that good.
The Technomancer had potential, but it just didn't execute.
I know. messing around.
Yeah, it still plays better than the Metro's game. So,
jeez, don't remind me of that Metro game.
Yeah, but I didn't really have much of a problem with the Surge. I'm going to play a little bit more of it, because I'll wait for Corey's review for what he thinks of Darksiders 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get through it this coming week. It'll be up soon.
I literally just there's a lot of stuff that I said on my Twitter that may anger some folks, but yeah. So
Ed angering something by his weird opinions.
Facebook anger is different than Twitter anger. So
I mean that's true.
So, but I'm going to keep it right there, because I really want Corey to really get to a certain part of the area, and I want him to experience why I'm angry at this game, and why I said what I said about it. But we're going to get into our next section of the show, and last episode me and Corey talked about how we could see Halo Infinite and God of War, or not God of War, Gears of War 5 or Gears 5 could work so well in an open world manner. So this won't be too long, but I want to get Jesse's point of view about it, because me and Corey gave our reviews and our reactions to it. So I want to hear from you, Jesse. What do you envision, or what is your opinion about it?
Yeah, okay, so honestly, as far as Halo goes, I don't really have too much more to add to what you guys said. Because I'm kind of on the same page as you guys as far as what you thought about Halo. For me though, I when I think of a game of the next step for Gears of what I envision it being as far as a more open world. I actually kind of envision it being done more of in the style of Division, because I feel like it the Gears game is both the Gears game and the Division games could be swapped out, and I could see the Division games being done in the same way that the Gears games are right now.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I could see, because one of my issues that I have with the Gears games, playing the story mode, is at times their movements are kind of tanky, their whole rolls and when you're running, it can kind of feel like it takes a long distance for you to kind of make a move, a movements.
Yeah.
When it just feels at times the area that you have in the map isn't enough room to make the moves and do what you want to do with your character. And so I think they could fix that by making it more of an open area, kind of like Division does, where that tankiness of their character wouldn't be as noticeable, I guess.
Well,
in a more open world.
Are you speaking more of cover base, opening, because pretty much the Division is pretty much a cover based game. It's just that the area is more because you have 4 players and you could be more tactical in your gameplay in the gunfights, where it feels like with Gears, it's just that you barely can move around, and definitely with them feeling like you said, like a tank and stuff, it's just the movements, it doesn't feel like you can move into a lot of places without kind of being hit. You're very limited because of how small the space are and how big of you as a character is.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just feel like at times the way Gears is set up, it just feels like it should be more like done like the Division style where.
But are you just talking about the gameplay, like the fights and stuff, and not just, so much the layabout of
everything? Because I feel like the Gears world is big enough, and there's enough stuff, like, and areas that you go into, and like that they could make a big vast, like open world based around like all the areas that you've gone into throughout all the Gears games. Like I feel like they could make a very detailed, like you've got the underground levels in Division where you're going kind of like in the sewers and stuff like that, where the like the Gears games would be like when they're going more in the underground levels and stuff like that. Like they could have all that. Like it all could exist.
I mean, like, you could make the whole game like. And sorry, I walked away. I had to walk away for a second. But like you could make the whole like game revolve around Jacinto, which is like the capital city of the planet or whatever, and like I mean, you look at that first game, how far you went underground, and I know that was kind of like a linear based whatever from a storytelling perspective. From a storytelling perspective, those tunnels and stuff are underneath the city. And you could make that interconnecting, weaving maze, and that could be kind of like whatever the Division's version of the Dark Zone is. You go down underground and you go on Destiny style strikes or whatever down there and fight big bosses to gain loot and stuff. And it could revolve around Jacinto and the Jacinto Plateau and some of these other just the underground and tunnel systems and buildings. You could go into buildings and kind of set up base camps and stuff similar to what you do in the Division, and hey, we need to upgrade our medical supplies, so we need to upgrade the medical wing and stuff. I really like that.
Well,
idea,
and you could and like I think their whole medical wing type thing would be, I think they would base it more, or like your tech wing and all that kind of stuff would be based more around, like in Gears 4, like me and you are playing through that for our other show. And like, like the one thing that they kind of have in that Gears game is the whole like defense thing, where you got that box that you can build the different stuff in to set up to protect against the waves. Well, what if they made that like kind of their version of like Division? You have the different things that you can throw down to help you, like when you're in battles, you got the turret and all those kind of things. Well, they could have that where that would be something that you're constantly working to upgrade, and you have more options of things.
Where that could fit in. Where that could fit in story wise is like Jack. You could have your own little probe robot. The way that Jack hacks the doors and does all these things. You could have like, okay, well, I want my Jack robot to be more offensive and have turrets and stuff, or I want him to be defensive so he could set up barricades and stuff.
So do you think that Gears 5, if it goes in the Brother Division, does the story fall back and it takes more focus on the gameplay mechanics and stuff? Because maybe that's why we probably didn't even talk about like game story focus with the Halo Infinite and Gears 5. I know, and I'm getting. I think it would just be.
I think it would just be a separate thing. It would almost have to be, because you can't all be the same characters, right? If they're trying to continue the story of from Gears 4 to 5, like you can't have everybody play as Kate, in a multiplayer open world game. I mean, the open world part could, like the Division style part, could be its own separate thing, but
like an extra mode.
Or what I was thinking, it could be almost like it would do better service as like a spin-off game, where it's
that's what I was gonna say. It's the ODST of
I was gonna say like ODST or Reach.
Why, and that's why when I was thinking of like Gears 5 being in an open world, I'm thinking like the structure of it, of almost being an open world game. And I understand that you're going for the Division gameplay mechanics. That would turn Gears, like you guys said, a separate game as being a side thing. But that is quite interesting to see if they could go that route. And that's why I asked, do story fall back? Because even if you look into the Division, you really don't pay attention to the story that's going on. You get some cutscenes here and there, but it feels like every mission that you kind of do kind of doesn't really have a connection to what the story really is. They could, like, they would be set up to be able to make a game like Division, but make it much more story driven, like in a way that Division doesn't, and that could be, a big enough thing that they can get more, attention on Gears from people who maybe didn't really care about Gears in the past. And like I think that's why, and I think that's why, if you're going to bring in a Division and those gameplay mechanics, I think that's why when I was telling Corey, that they should look at Insomniac with Resistance 3 with the guns and stuff, because pretty much Gears is a gun-heavy game, but not all the guns are used in it. And I think with the Division, you'll have more opportunity with the Division gameplay style. You'll have more opportunity to use more various guns and craft your various guns. And that mission structure and gameplay style would fit it. If what you do, like your tech ring, your the heal ring, like the health ring, and stuff like offensive, defensive, if all that special stuff affected your gun and your crew and stuff, that would work very well. So I do see with the Division coming into play in that sense.
Yeah, because I just feel like that kind of setup, like what Division offers, it like doing it in that style would just give it so much more depth.
Yeah.
Like possibility for depth. I mean, like, heck, you could even have it where like you upgrading the different kinds of chains on the chainsaw part of the gun, and things like that.
That's
like where you could make
weapon. That's the weapon situation.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so much you could do, like, and like you can even have it though too, where it can kind of do the whole Division thing where you can get it where when someone drops loot or whatever, that you could have it where certain guns have a little bit better, kind of almost the Destiny style, where some guns have certain things that are a little bit better stats, but you can always upgrade them,
and that's the thing about it that I fear, that I don't,
and armor too.
I don't feel like a loot-based system will work with Gears, but if you find blueprints and you find maybe some resources stuff, that when you turn it back to your camp or other camps and their facilities, that they upgrade your gun or they make you a completely new gun.
Well, what you could do is like find crafting parts. You could find crafting materials and parts, like Jesse just said, out in the world, and then you start out with like, I don't know, like a garbage lancer, and then you work to upgrade those parts, and then like, hey, I have this cool scope that, I can attach to the lancer, so like I'm a little bit more accurate from far away, or, I have this new barrel for the shotgun that maybe at close range, I do a little bit more damage. You know, that kind of stuff where you work towards these upgrades, and then you can swap these upgrades in and out depending on what event, like what types of events you're doing. Like if I'm going to go out and do PvE, you know, maybe I don't need this. Maybe having the barrel on the Lancer to have more accuracy from far away would do better than you know, something I would switch out in a PvP situation.
I kind of would. I wonder if PvE is player versus everybody, right?
Player versus environment. So like
environment. Okay, because I would take PvP out of the whole situation.
Well, that's not gonna happen. Gears is Gears is pretty much built on PvP.
I mean PvP as a sense of fitting it into an open world game. I think PvP.
Well, you would just go through like a menu. I mean,
I think if you would stay, if Gears 5 was staying as like a linear game in a sense, people who played the multiplayer mode of PvP with the fort and getting stuff for the trunk and all of that thing, I think that would probably still stay the same.
Yeah.
Well, unless like they do still have that whole like dark zone style thing too, you know, like if Division has where you can go up against other people in that area, you know, like for the like to try to gain more you know, things to upgrade or whatever.
If they had something like the Dark Zone, then yeah, I can understand.
I mean, maybe that's how you position that too. Is like maybe you don't play as a cog, maybe you play as a scavenger. You know?
Yeah.
Now, if they have that option, then I could see that happening. That working well. But if it's just feel like a Destiny PvP or some other multiplayer PvP thing. With the Gear series, everybody would just be like, well, just keep it regular multiplayer. In a sense.
Yeah.
But I could see where you're coming from, Jesse. I feel like if they're gonna do that, they could add some RPG mechanics. I think the better every time you use that gun, the more uses that you get, you just automatically adjust to it automatically and get better at using it. So you don't realize that you're liking more on it because you're aiming more. It feels quicker when you're reloading from the first time when you started using that gun. Like you just automatically get better in it enhance.
Well, you know how they have the thing, the quick reload, where if you hit the timing just right, you can reload faster. What they could do is you could like that small, like they could start off at that area to do the quick reload is very, very small, and you have to hit it just right in order for that to happen. But that can be something that over time, as you're learning to use your weapons or you're upgrading, it will be easier to do. Like things, just small things like that. Yeah. Those are all things that they can kind of play with to have for upgrades.
Because they could have that, and then when let's say you go into a special mission, or you do some kind of mission with the whole crew and you get some equipment to it. So now you still have your reload, but then you have a special reload. So when if you hit your special reload on time, you're firing, maybe your bullets does double damage, but it's an elemental effect to it.
Or maybe
that's what I was gonna say is like a fire. Like they could add like a fire damage type style bullet, or or even like bullets that when the first couple of bullets hit a character, it can cause an effect where they'll be like their accuracy will drop when they're trying to shoot back at you or something, like things like that.
Go ahead, Corey. What you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like, you could maybe you don't start out with an active reload. Maybe you have to like grind out stuff for that, like parts or whatever, and then you can craft incendiary bullets or shock bullets or whatever for the weapons, and then you have to apply some sort of like, hey, I need to apply this part to my gun so it can shoot these bullets that I now have to craft. Like you can make it seem deep without it actually having to be deep. I think that's something that Destiny kind of gets lost in sometimes, is like this game has become so convoluted and so, unnecessarily deep in a lot of places, where like, yeah, I get that the community wanted random rolls and stuff on weapons, but then like, if you're going to do random rolls on weapons, don't have 750 weapons and then everybody, only uses the same 5 guns the whole time, Right. And that's where I think like Halo and Gears can succeed, is because the weapons that they have. Now, right. how can you change up those weapon archetypes with attachments or gear sets or whatever,
And that's why I said looking at the Resistance games, because, and Jesse, I know you haven't played them, but like Resistance 3, that you get certain guns. The more you use them, the gun evolves on itself. So you could do more damage, but you could also get additional special stuff to it and still use the regular ammo for it. And you can level it up, like within the game, you can level it up like 3 times to its max, so it's very powerful.
Or definitely even look at something like Republic Commando does, the Star Wars game, where like you're literally using the same gun for the whole game, but you unlock different upgrades and stuff for it throughout the game. Now, granted, it wouldn't be that exact, but it's just another example of like, look how much we can do with so little, And I think I still think that's where Halo succeeds over a lot of shooters, is like, we don't have a lot of guns, but the weapons we do have feel unique and special, and okay, maybe we'll add a variant of the assault rifle with a silencer on it. Maybe we'll add a variant of the battle rifle that, feels more like the Halo 2 battle rifle, where maybe it shoots a little bit faster but doesn't do as much damage, Like, they add variants instead of like, oh, well, we have 47 different assault rifles and they just feel kind of similar.
Yeah, and I think that's why when we was talking about Halo Infinite, that's why I brought up the gun situation. But definitely with Halo Infinite, is that you get a great gun, but you don't get ammo to refill it, and then it makes you switch it out. And that's kind of how Gears is,
that's something,
in a sense.
I think that's something that Halo needs to address in general. Is like, when you find a weapon you like to use, just allow people like that's one thing I do like about Destiny, is like, it doesn't matter what weapon you're using. There's only 3 types of ammo you can pick up, know, and they work for all types of guns. And I hope like that kind of happens. Or like maybe you just pick up, like that's something Gears does well too, is like, oh, there's just an ammo pack on the ground and it has assault rifle bullets and pistol bullets and shotgun shells in it. It has all of them, and you just refill all your weapons at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, they just have that more often.
Yeah, because the Gears weapons are cool, but the usage of them is just not there. So I think you would need something to give you that. And if we're going, like I said, Jesse, if you're want to go that division route with Gears and stuff, they're going to have to make sure that the usage of all these guns and different styles of stuff is put to good use, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like because you can like you could, if they go the division route, you could have it where the one style of gun is like your favorite. Well, that can be your main, but they can still have it where there's interchanging stuff to make it still seem like new and different or unique, for the situation. And
I think if you buy a gun, you get that one type of gun, and then just like you said, Corey, like having points or whatever to customize it to open it up more. But you can still go on missions and find stuff to craft for it to add on to it. So you have various ways of taking that one gun and making it like the gun that suits you perfectly as a player.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that was the Gears 5 discussion.
I'm really excited. I know that this type of thing isn't happening in Gears 5, but I'm really excited for Gears 5. And I really hope that Gears Tactics game comes to Xbox One as well.
Yeah. With Xbox getting the keyboard support and stuff.
Well, you talked about that, Jesse. I think because of that, now I think it will probably come down later on. Later on, I think if you buy it on Windows 10, that when if it does come to Xbox One, bam, it's already there because it becomes part of the Play Anywhere.
Yeah. I could see them announcing when the new Razer keyboard and mouse that they're making specifically for the Xbox is done. I could see them when they announce it saying that available today is
hold Jesse, hold that thought because we're about to go into the last section, and that's going to probably So that is the Jesse's thoughts about and I know we focus more on Gears about that with that one because we didn't really talk about Gears in last time. We really kind of focused more on Halo Infinite, but I think both could work any way that we talk about it. I think both could work so well for both those games in that format. So
and that's kind of why I wanted to touch more on the Gears because I said, I feel like you guys kind of talked about Halo enough that I kind of wanted to bring my ideas for Gears.
Gears 5. Yeah. I think because, and we're going to get into the last part, I think because with Halo Infinite, we seeing that in the open world kind of thing and having so many ideas for it and how it laid out. Because, like, we didn't even do it like a pricey thing for Gears 5 like we did for Halo and stuff. But we just was thinking and not planning this stuff out, but it was just like, if this stuff could happen for this game, and definitely if it could happen for Gears 5, I think they will become more unsuspectedly successful than people want to give credit to. But we're going to get into the last section of today's show, and like I said, we're going to talk about the roadmap of Microsoft for 2019. And with this one, we're probably going to be jumping with some games and with some functions and some add-on things. We're not going to really talking about the developers being added on or some production companies and stuff. We're going to try to kind of focus on games, maybe some announcements we could see, probably play some stuff in some time area. And I know, Jesse, you mentioned the keyboard thing for Xbox, so we'll probably talk a little bit more about that on when that could be available and how it could look in this design and stuff. So we pretty much know that Crackdown 3 is like the leading game for Microsoft, and that'll be in February. But what else did you guys can see going from there? We know Phil Spencer did say Ori and the Blind Forest will be shown at E3 for the summer. So we probably will talk about that when it'll be released. We'll probably see Forza also. And I think did he mention Gears 5 or Halo Infinite?
Gears 4 is next year for sure.
Gears 5.
I think next year there's going to be 4 games for Microsoft next year, right? It's going to be Crackdown 3, Ori, the inevitable Forza Motorsport 8 next year, and Gears 5, right? But they also will probably have expansions for existing games. They're going to have Sea of Thieves stuff. The State of Decay major expansion is coming out next year, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure Crackdown will have some sort of expansion at some point. Because I think they want that to be more of a games as a service than, so, I mean, I think Microsoft has a strong lineup next year. And I think we did talk about Halo Infinite a little bit, but I think that game is going to straddle generations. I think that's going to be their first major test of a game that's like, hey, we're selling our new box, but you're going to be able to play, you literally can play it anywhere. On your Xbox One, on your Scarlet, on your streaming box, on PC, I think that's going to be the test. I think Halo Infinite is going to be that test. But until then, they're gonna the other game next year, I think we keep forgetting about is Battletoads. You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I doubt that's going to be some sort of AAA budget game, but I think that's going to be a game that they're going to want a fan servicey type game where they're going to want to make merchandise and skins and stuff for that game. So, I think
we'll probably see that at like an E3 or something.
Yeah, I think you'll see that at E3 probably. But
there's probably going to be something Minecraft related.
Yeah, there always is, right?
Yeah, but I think they're gonna announce it like they're pretty much going to show content for not only Microsoft but also Nintendo and kind of hint maybe something at Sony. We'll probably see more functionality and stuff added on to the adaptive controller. Let's jump into the keyboard. And Jesse, I'm gonna let you start it off with there. Razer and Microsoft are teaming up to do a custom-made keyboard for Microsoft. I believe that's what it is. We did mention, the Halo strategy game being kind of maybe probably could be like a lead off to it. That it comes to Windows 10, then later on it comes to Microsoft once the keyboard get announced. What do you see it playing a role in 2019 for this roadmap?
Okay, so like obviously me and you kind of already had a conversation about this, but for the show wise, so like I envision this opening up the opportunities for Xbox to be like an exclusive, as far as the consoles go, like, because like from what I understand, PlayStation has some very, very small ability to use, like you can use keyboard and stuff on there as well, but I think it's pretty limited or something like that. I don't really know for sure, but I do know they have the ability. But with Microsoft making the next step into like really trying to make it opened up for developers to make games and have the ability of fully functional keyboard and mouse to play the games on the Xbox, I could see that making that kind of that divide that we have right now of companies, developers that make games like Command and Conquer and things like that the majority of people who play them on PC because you need a keyboard to really enjoy like all the different experiences that you kind of have to have when playing those kind of games. So I could see more games being no longer just PC exclusive, and some of those games that need keyboard coming to the Xbox as well. And like with Microsoft having the Play Anywhere thing or whatever, where you can, some games you can play on the Xbox, or if you own it you buy it on Windows, you can, have it on Xbox. And I could see some of the games doing that kind of stuff, like those kind of games coming to both the console and PC instead of just PC. Like that's what I envision this whole move is trying to be for.
And kind of want to make this a little bit clear to everybody. PC meaning like Steam, good old games, definitely with Epic Store just opening up. And we talk in Windows 10 and stuff. Like when it comes to PC, there's so many digital systems that people could go to get games. But if you go to Windows 10, it's kind of what we're speaking about. And if that game is on Windows 10, they could buy it there and play it on one.
Yeah.
Digital services or platforms, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. But there's so many games that only go to PC because the way that people play them, you can, a lot of them you can maybe play with the controller, but most people prefer the keyboard because you need the accessibility of the multiple keys to be able to, the hotkeys and things like that, to be able to do things and set up things the way that you need to do things on the fly, really quickly. And controller just can't do that, what a keyboard can do. And so that ultimately is why a lot of those games don't really come to the consoles, because they just, with a controller only, they really can't handle them the way they need to be played. So I see this move basically then being so that no longer is an excuse for games to not come to console, or at least to the Xbox anyways.
Do you think that it now opens up to more MMO strategy games, like stuff like SimCity or Civilization, stuff like Diablo 3, or like World of Warcraft even. Like they're coming on Xbox One, and hopefully you could transfer and play them on Scarlet and stuff.
I mean, even something like Final Fantasy 14 that Xbox has been trying to get on their platform forever, Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I think, even something like XCOM or even Mutant Year Zero with mouse and keyboard would probably be significantly not better, but like, it'd be more intuitive with that than
kind of it would make it more comfortable to play for a lot of people.
And like if they make it where, like games like that, if you own it on PC and your save can transfer over, like if your progression on PC, like you could then pick it up, go into the living room where your Xbox is and pick up from where you left off, like on your PC. Like kind of, if they could kind of put that stuff into it as well, like.
Do you think that Bluetooth functionality would make it easier in a sense? Like with Xbox One, it connects wirelessly for the keyboard and mouse, so you don't have to use like USB and stuff. And maybe there's something that also could be done with your PC, where maybe you put a USB thing in it and it recognizes it, and you're doing it like wirelessly in a sense. Do you think that will do you think Microsoft is sticking their head in that manner in a sense also with it? I'm pretty sure the keyboard that they're having Razer work on is going to be Bluetooth. It's going to be wireless, because of the fact that like the whole idea of the Xbox is you put it somewhere, and it's not always going to be close to where you want to sit. So like they I believe the keyboard that they're making for them is wireless, if I remember correctly. I think they said that's what it was. But like they're adding a lot of features that your average regular keyboard doesn't have. Like like the whole lighting up, like certain buttons light up different colors to indicate your health level and things like that. So there's a lot of interactive things that they're trying to put into that keyboard to really give you the full pro keyboard experience, like for the Xbox that'll many pro gamers on PC have. So can you see them doing like a triple collection. And what I mean, like a triple collection or a triple package, is like you get an Xbox One controller, you get the adaptable controller, and you get the Razer keyboard and mouse. I would say maybe $499 for everything total. That it also gives you a free game for a Play Anywhere, or it gives you something Game Pass related, or it just does something. It gives you more. But you now, as a gamer, if you're starting out, if you got the money, that not only are you getting the Xbox One X or you're getting the Scarlet, all three of these will work together on that. So you're getting like a bonus collection just without the system and games. Like it's just a controller pack.
Yeah. Well, maybe, but I could honestly see them. I could honestly see them doing more like console bundles where they have it where there's versions of the console where you can get it the keyboard and mouse version where it actually doesn't even come with the controller.
Well, I think that would be more Scarlet, probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, I could just see, like see them doing stuff like that for like, your a PC player who now wants to get an Xbox. And they could just get it with the keyboard and mouse instead of a controller if they wanted to.
And we know that's a little bit far ahead, but I think the keyboard thing in 2019 being part of Microsoft's roadmap, that will open up a lot of possibilities. So when we would see it, though, I'm assuming fall. I think we'll get a reveal of it at E3. And maybe when they do the XO conference or maybe Insider Xbox, they may announce, Phil Spencer might say, hey, watch this latest episode Inside Xbox to find more about our Razer brand keyboard. And I don't know what they're going to name it as. And then it comes out sometime in the fall next year. Do you guys feel like there's a particular month for it? Not so much date, but just a month for that?
No, I mean, I think it'll just come with whatever one of their monthly updates is. It'll just be in like the notes of new features and what features they've updated and stuff. I don't think it's like let's have a conference about it and announce that it's coming. We know it's coming. It'll just be like it's a blog post announcement. It's that kind of thing.
Well, and I mean, I could see though them having the insider, the Xbox thing, like just trying to go a little bit more in detail about how it all works and like just break down what it means at this point now as far as having the ability to put a keyboard and mouse into your Xbox and just kind of like go over things like a tutorial almost of how it works, and give people at least a basic understanding, for the people who maybe have never played a game with a keyboard and a mouse before at all. But yeah, I don't know if they're gonna go too elaborate with it, but
just rolling it out and marketing wise to get people like drum up excitement for the product being out. I think inside Xbox they will probably like have people tune in to see what the release date, how it looks, how it may connect to Scarlet, like hit that up or something. They'll probably do something big. I just kind of wonder what month in the fall though would that fit in, or like do they do it like you said, Corey, do it as an update, but do they do it like a big fall update for Xbox?
I mean, they don't really do big updates like PlayStation does. They usually do like monthly iterations, I think, or like every couple weeks or whatever. Do we have a release date for the Gears Tactic game
no,
at all?
We don't. No, we don't have.
Yeah, it didn't really say anything.
No,
but they just showed it.
We don't even know when the Gears Pop game is coming out, so.
No, it's never coming out.
Or he doesn't want that.
Nope. It's not coming out.
But it is on the roadmap for next year. Well, let's look at Crackdown 3. So, we was talking about it on the Game Awards that, this game definitely should be polished when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys see down the line for more content coming out, or Microsoft keeping that excitement and that love for that game going? Like, what do they need to do throughout 2019 for that game? Or does it release, get some DLC updates, and then people forget about it by July?
I mean, I think it's just going to be like a... I mean, I know very rarely first party does this anymore, but like, I think it's going to be like almost like a one and done thing where they're going to release it and maybe have some multiplayer updates, maybe some campaign style DLC, like one or two small DLCs for the campaign. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't see this being a games as a service thing where they like update it every week or anything. I think it's going to be kind of like what they did with Gears, where it's like, here's the campaign, you can play it single player co-op, and then here's a multiplayer suite, and maybe we'll add some cool modes throughout the, however long they feel like it. But I don't think it's going to keep getting updates like the way that the Division or Destiny or those types of games do.
Yeah.
So I could see them doing kind of like what Sony is doing with Spider-Man, like where they just add some like small story chunks, or even like they did with Zelda, where they just add some new game types and some small like additions to the storyline, and that's about it. Like just support it for the 1 year, mm-hmm. maybe, and then like multiplayer they could kind of do the whole Fortnite thing with it, where they try to like keep the multiplayer fresh, but the standalone game itself just kind of after the first year is it is what it is. Like I could, I think that that's the thing that's appealing nowadays, and like that really it has made multiplayer games stand out is the keeping it fresh and having the the events and things like that. Like you're seeing more and more of that happening with the events and making it so people want to log back in to the multiplayer and play it, online. Like I think if anything, like that's would be the most that they would need to do to try to keep people coming back, maybe, is just have like that kind of thing that doesn't take a whole lot of effort to really change, like yeah. I think that's something that they could probably do.
Oh. Now we have that little Fox RPG Zelda looking game. Sorry, everybody, I don't know the name.
Tunic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cannot remember names off the top of my head. I didn't make a list for it. Do we put Tunic coming out this year into a fall release, or do you think Ori and Tunic is like a fitting for summer games?
I think those are both coming out in the spring or summer.
Yeah, I
honestly
think Tunic is going to be coming around March or April.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you guys think that? Like,
I just don't think they want those games to get lost in the fall shuffle. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know Xbox is doing Winter of Arcade this year, but like that's December, January, February when games don't really come out, and I don't know. I would not put games like that out in the fall because you're going to get lost with Destiny, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed next, those types of games, like big AAA games. You don't want those games to get lost. And yeah, I know like indie games get released every week outside of AAA games, but like we've had so many stories where this game does better on Switch over and under because like those AAA games aren't coming out on Switch a lot. I mean, some of them are, but not a lot of them. And the indies kind of fill the void on that. Whereas every week you get 2 or 3 AAA games for Xbox,
And I think that's where I wonder how should we look at this roadmap for Microsoft? Do they need a continuous, kind of not hits, but continuous enjoyment of games coming out for the system? Because just like, yes, we'll have Crackdown, we'll have Anthem, we'll have The Division, kind of like back to back to back. But it's just like, what happens with Microsoft, just Microsoft itself, what happens with those 3 games if they can't become backlogged for a lot of people?
Then you get Rage in May, and then you get there's something coming out in June that's big too. But then like things don't really come out in July, and then you have the big sports push in August and September, and then you get into first-person shooter season with September, October, November, and then the big AAA Ubisoft game in November and October, those types of things. Microsoft has the advantage of third-party games running and looking better on an Xbox One right now, especially on an X. So like they can still use that to their advantage in their marketing. They don't need the first party stuff. I mean, they have stuff, but they don't really have to have like on Nintendo Power Block, we just discussed that Nintendo has a major first party game coming out every 3 to 6 weeks, right?
Yes.
Like they've had that since launch, and Xbox doesn't really have that. Microsoft and Sony release maybe 3 or 4 first party games a year, and next year is the rare exception where Microsoft has a bunch of games coming out next year, and they're going to want to fill those slots with their third party stuff. And they're always big on Madden, they're always big on NBA 2K and FIFA. Assassin's Creed usually gets their marketing dollars. Fallout this year, I mean, say what you will about Fallout 76, but Microsoft usually grabs the Bethesda game. So,
and me and you talked about this, Corey, about Activision and Blizzard breaking that Bungie contract with Destiny, and probably going somewhere with Microsoft. What I kind of wonder is, we got Devil May Cry 5 with the demo out, but Battlefield 5 Battle Royale with it, PUBG with some new content. We don't know how that's going to play out. Does Microsoft focus on that too and make that part of their roadmap?
Yeah,
because I think
look what they're doing right now. Like if you buy 3 months of every 3 months of Xbox Live you buy right now, you get 1,000 Fortnite V-Bucks for free. That's huge. Like if you buy like 6 months, that's 2,000 V-Bucks. That's a battle. What do you call it? Battle pass, and a skin, or a pickaxe skin or whatever, Like they're using third parties in smart ways, because they don't have anything right now, and when they do have something, they're going to use their first party power. We saw, they have a bunch of games that have audiences that we just don't hear about because. We talked about this yesterday, right? Where there's so many games out there that have huge audiences that we just don't hear about. Dead by Daylight, Minecraft is still the biggest game in the world, and I mean we hear about it, but we don't really hear about it anymore, right?
Yeah,
and
even Rocket League and stuff,
Yeah, and Sea of Thieves has a huge audience still. And we just don't hear about it unless there's an expansion coming out or whatever, because we are the type of people that go out and we want to play more than 1 or 2 games a year, you know? And that's the thing with these games as services is like, there's three major ones coming out next year if you include a Destiny expansion, right? There's the Division, there's Anthem, and there's Destiny.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to keep up with all those games? And that's not including, oh, hey, we want to continue playing Blackout. Hey, we want to continue playing Fortnite. I'm sure Jesse wants to check out the new operators in Rainbow Six Siege at some point, you know? Mm-hmm. It's getting to a point where like there's just too many there's too many games, and there's too many games that keep going. And, you know, Microsoft is in a position where they don't need their first party to push their marketing, you know?
Do you think, and this is a question to you also, Jesse, do you think if they don't need it, Microsoft, definitely with the accessibility controller, do you think Microsoft will focus on disabled gamers? So they would have some of their first party content kind of be around disabled gaming, like storytelling, gameplay, it like something that just fits. I mean, you can still play with mouse and keyboard or with the controller, but you know, you really engage more players with disabled gaming. So it can become big as Destiny 2 or Call of Duty and stuff. Do you think Microsoft could probably add that as part of their roadside, that they want to get disabled gamers to a higher point where they could be acknowledged and showcase that they could play games and they could make meaningful games and fun games like AAA or first party?
Well, I think like as far as that goes, like, you know, people that are disabled, like, you know, we've seen, you know, time and time again that the body, you know, like if you put your mind to it, you can do just about anything and get over any kind of, you know, obstacle. And, you know, people have found a way to be able to play whatever game they want to play. You know, and in the that controller that Microsoft, you know, had made is just, you know, a way to make it easier and more accessible. But as far as like making more games for people like that, I mean, I think that like it's not directly, you know, being done on purpose, but just through the new games, you know, and new studios that Microsoft picked up. Like, I think they've made it pretty clear that they kind of want to have their story driven games that will be made by these people. And so as far as having games that are more narrative driven, that Xbox doesn't really quite have, you know, right now.
Well,
I think that will come with that.
In a sense, none of the companies have any games that really focus on disabled players.
Well, I mean, I think that's what the controller's for, though, is to help.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to build games around the controller. I just think they're going to build experiences that, hey, we have this controller, and we're going to, you know, maybe we'll make controls easier to adapt to the controller, but I think that controller kind of negates them from having to develop for disabled people. And like, I think the controller is a great thing. Like that I don't know if you guys saw that the commercial for that controller, but it was really heartwarming and heartfelt. Yeah. And like, you know, I don't think they're necessarily going to develop games for you know, disabled gamers, but I think they're gonna make it as easy as possible for them to play the games that they're making, you know. And
yeah, so, because in the end, they're just gamers like us. Like, yeah. Look at the controversy that came with Quiet Man. People that were mute or whatever. like they got offended by like trying to single out a person because of what it is, and to try to build something to try to, like, it just kind of blew up in their face. And so, like, I just think, like, it's just not a good idea to try to like,
because there's so many,
make people feel like they're different because they're
well,
yes, they may have
and
there's
that
so
might,
many disabilities too. How are you going to cater to one and not the other?
Yeah.
And I think that's where like difficulty settings and accessibility settings come in. Is like, hey, Obsidian's new game is a open world RPG that you can experience as hard as you want or as difficult as you want, and we have this, and this setting to make it easier for people who A, maybe don't play a lot of games, or B, are disabled, and here's how you can adapt the controller to this game.
And that, well, I think for me, for what my viewpoint with it is that I kind of wish, definitely with Microsoft having this controller, is that developers and publishers will be able to get games out that kind of focus on telling about different disabilities. Because I think a lot of people, I think a lot of the masses of Xbox fans, or pretty much gamers in total, really don't understand about a disability and what that particular disability is. So with telling through story and through gameplay and things like that, and I'm not saying that a person who's not disabled play a game using the disability controller, because we talked about people using a PlayStation controller to play like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at Evo tournaments and stuff like that. Like, we seen stuff and heard about stuff like that, but I think it would kind of be nice that if disabled players play a game that's focused on a disability, they'd be like, okay, this company got it right because they understand this. Now, hopefully, this game can educate people who are not disabled to know why this disability, how it came from, what it is, and why scientists or people are working for cures for it and stuff. To give a personal educational idea, And even though the accessibility controller is for disabled players to play any video game that they want to, I think for us, for the masses who probably don't have disability, it would be cool to like actually learn about stuff. Because I'm like, we talk about disability, but I think for a lot of us, we're not educated enough to understand what a particular disability.
I don't think that's on Microsoft to do that. I think that's like I think that's the whole point of companies like Able Gamers and companies like that to come in and maybe they have their own YouTube channel where they have different types of, here's how you deal with this disability, here's how you deal with this disability, stuff like that, and I don't think they need to develop games specifically for that though. Because that gets you in all sorts of trouble in other places where, maybe it starts out as a good intention, but then it's like, with this,
like I said, with that Quiet Man thing.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like with this current climate in the video game space, and everything has to be political. It's like Microsoft's making too many good moves right now, and I think the accessibility controller is a great move. I think they need to stop right there and be like, look, we have this controller that you can plug a whole bunch of things into, make it as easy for yourself as possible to play the games you want to play. But we're not like you know what I mean? Like that's where they
I understand.
That's what the controller is for. And so
yeah. I think having people competing in the like in these different kinds of competitions and stuff, people that are disabled entering those competitions, I think actually makes more of a statement and or shows exposure to the masses of what these controllers for disabled people can ultimately achieve. I think that would do more for it than any developer trying to make a game, I think would do.
Yeah. And I just think that with Microsoft, definitely with where they're going with how they're just being very open and they just want everybody to play. I think definitely that the accessibility controller is going to be a big focus for Microsoft when it comes to gaming. I just hope they don't treat it that it's a controller. Anyone, the people who are disabled could play it. You could use it in this game and then move on. It's just been shown this is a jam-packed game with RPG elements and doing all the marketing spiel and kind of forget that this accessibility controller is part of your gaming universe, part of your gaming platform. So at least highlight it in a good way, in a fashionable manner, and let somebody who is disabled start playing Crackdown in the trailers, showing how that works. Like, make sure that the accessibility controller is at least in the marketing to showcase that you really care about everyone playing. Because it's cool that we see Terry Crews doing all of this marketing, but I want to see different people around the world as players playing this game, and hopefully Microsoft would include that in their roadmap, because marketing definitely is going to be a very big thing for Microsoft for 2019. Because with them not doing it as much, just saying, "Oh, here's a game, it's out," and then not saying nothing, moving on to the next project or next thing, that has become a problem for Microsoft. So hopefully they're fixing up their marketing for 2019. What do you guys think?
Well, I think the thing is they've made it very clear that, with the accessibility, like with the controller for people who are disabled, for them pushing strongly, and going to Nintendo and trying to get crossplay to happen.
Yes.
Like they've made it very clear that what they're interested in is including everyone, even people who maybe don't want to play on the Xbox. They want those people to be able to play with the people who do want to be able to play on the Xbox, and they want people who are disabled to be able to play their games where they want to play it. Be it on PC or on the Xbox. Now they have they've made it easier for that to happen. So, I think they've done a really good job with marketing.
I think they just need to improve it. I think, and hopefully it's because an important thing for the games. Because I think that was the one thing that I have trouble with Microsoft is their marketing. It's just like, oh, a game is out. Like sometimes we'll show 2 big CG trailers and don't show no gameplay, and then the game is out. And we didn't even know that it came out. There was no lead up to it, and I think the Nintendo Direct kind of spoiled us to it. But Nintendo has balanced it, like when they'll show it, when they announce it, what you could get. Sometimes give in-depth details about it, but we know a lot of information. So when the game comes out, we know what we're getting into. And with Microsoft and a little bit of Sony, we sometimes don't know how to do it. So I guess that's my viewpoint on it, and that's why I say hopefully they take marketing serious in their roadmap. Corey, what you think?
I mean, I think Microsoft's been doing a great job with marketing with what they've been putting out. I think Sea of Thieves had a great marketing campaign with the YouTubers and stuff. Doing that stuff. I think Forza always has a good marketing campaign. I think. I think Crackdown has had a great marketing campaign with Terry Crews, and so, I mean, it's been so good that they added him to the game, they literally added him to the game after he did that first campaign or commercial. So,
I think he's like the main player, probably.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think he's like the general or lieutenant or whatever,
okay.
But I think that's great marketing. Terry Crews is a likable dude. I hope he's in most of the game,
Right. And I think if they keep doing stuff like that, people will continue to be more interested in it. Like they're marketing well, but I would need them to do continue to do that, be consistent with that.
Mm-hmm. And I think Microsoft's marketing is going to get even stronger this year because, even though a lot of people are saying E3 is dying and PlayStation not being there, I think this is the point where Microsoft steps in and gets the marketing dollars for the third parties, because I think Sony is so focused on their first party stuff that they're just expecting people to buy the games on PlayStation because people own PlayStation, right? And so this is where I think Microsoft is going to pick up the slack and start marketing for third parties that they don't normally do, So, plus there's that rumor that Respawn has 2 games this year. Well, if they can get the marketing dollars behind a Star Wars game and Titanfall 3, those are 2 huge titles this year that they could potentially have the marketing behind. So, I think Microsoft's just gonna clean up this year, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing is too, didn't they kind of talk about like a reviving of basically the Xbox Live Arcade kind of style thing?
Yeah,
again,
the winter of Arcade is happening this year. They announced what games are going to be in it, and Below is in it. Hold on.
Yeah, see it's
like a game. Is that the game every week one? Oh,
yeah, for
yeah.
Here's
the
lineup. The lineup is Mutant Year Zero started it this week, and then Subnautica, Below, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, Ashen, Hello Neighbor, with the new game, not the first one.
The Secret.
Kingdom 2 Crowns, Desert Child, and Below and Donut County. So they're releasing multiple games a week, but they're pretty much pushing it for 4 weeks, and there's going to be 2 or 3 games every week. So
yeah, so if they do the whole kind of Nintendo style thing where they're really pushing these indie games and stuff like that, in my opinion, that also makes up for the lack of their first parties. They're still offering, pushing and offering people options.
And that's why their marketing is important for Microsoft. Definitely with indies. 360 was big with indies. That's kind of how indies really jumped off when it came to console. Was new 360 and the arcade and stuff. So for them kind of to move away from it and stuff, it's kind of weird. But if they could bring that back,
and I think that's it. They're trying to bring all those things back that worked. Be it XO, be it the Insider Xbox, things that they're having. They're working on the arcade thing. They're trying to bring it all back, but do it correctly this time, because there still was some issues with the way things were ran during the 360.
I think mostly with Inside Xbox is that it just needs to be a bigger presence. Treated like a Nintendo Direct, and it is successful. It is working, but it needs to be if you watch this with mix, get the word out and really let everybody know that check it on YouTube. But if you have an Xbox or Windows, like a Surface tablet or something, really check it and earn points on Mixer. Really market that to a lot of people so they can know that, hey, YouTube is kind of janky, but it's showing great on Mixer, and I'm communicating with other players, but I'm also earning points that I could use for maybe a future game or something within the system. Microsoft just needs to market that better.
Well, I think unfortunately though that's not really so much them as it is I feel like the people who are gonna want to watch it and the people who are hardcore Xbox fans are already know about it, and it's because unfortunately, like Microsoft or Xbox is, not as big as the PlayStation, and a lot of the people who are on PlayStation don't really care, like too much about the Insider Xbox thing.
And
so that will come in
fine.
time as they get more people into the
and that's fine, but
on the Xbox.
But for what they have, really pushed Inside Xbox and Mixer, because you don't, trust me, you don't have to be a Nintendo fan, and you can hate Nintendo, but somehow you're watching the Nintendo Direct, because when it comes out, people are talking about it. They're doing podcasts and stuff, and Microsoft should have that too. Definitely with Insider Xbox, we should be able to predict and look forward to stuff. Because I'm even mad at myself that I don't watch Inside Xbox, because I don't know that they showed it. Like they don't market it, they don't tell it well. But I know when Nintendo says it, Nintendo Direct, we're doing a mini block, we're doing a reaction, we're doing a live reaction, we're planning a schedule around that mug. I got snacks ready. I'm about to do World War One and Astro. Like, I'm doing stuff before and after that Nintendo Direct, and I wish I could do more with that with Xbox Live, with Inside Xbox, and I just don't, because Microsoft don't advertise. That's all I'm saying. If they're doing,
they do, but it's not as big. It's not the top at the top of your priority, though.
I wish it was.
So that's why. Well, yeah, but it could be. That's up to you.
Get it together, Microsoft.
No, that's up to you to be looking for it. You're always looking for stuff for Nintendo. You're not really paying as much, because it's all about going on on like Twitter and stuff, because they advertise that stuff on there all the time.
Twitter,
if you're not watching it, if you're not watching it though, you're not going to notice it.
And that's why I'm just saying, because even, this Nintendo Life and stuff, but I don't even think does IGN or GameSpot or Game Informer posted to be like, hey, Inside the Xbox is going on. Because even if you're not a Nintendo fan, when they say Nintendo Direct, a lot of the major journalists and stuff are publishing it around Twitter, their own website and stuff like that. And it seems like when Xbox does it, none of them do it.
That's because that's just the way it is right now. Is and that's kind of one of the issues with with a lot of things. There's just such a negativity when it comes to Xbox in general, with the majority of people. So that's one of the things that hurts Microsoft, is just the people who hold grudges and constantly want to, just think negatively of them. Right. So, and
I enjoy it. I don't know about, I think you guys probably agree with me. We enjoyed the XO conference.
Yeah.
That was really good. And I want to have that same enjoyment with Inside Xbox. That's all I'm saying. We're going to get into the last part of this conversation. What is one thing personally for you would like to see on this roadmap next year? Corey?
I don't know. Gears and Crackdown are pretty good for me. Those are the games I want to play. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if they get marketing behind Crystal Dynamics Avengers game or Rocksteady's next game.
Yes.
Just because, they have a working relationship with Crystal anyways, because of Tomb Raider. It could be positive or negative, but for better or for worse, they have that working relationship already. So, that could be interesting. Or, man, I don't even know. I think Titanfall 3 is another big one that, we know they're working on it, but if that comes out next year, I don't think between the mess of Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5, I don't think DICE is putting out a game next year, so EA is going to want a shooter in that competitive space, and I think it's going to be Titanfall 3.
Well, and I think that Microsoft and EA have a decent partnership. Yeah, relationship. So I think much like Battlefield, they kind of they've kind of pushed the newer Battlefield more than the other consoles, because Sony's kind of got Activision's, like the Call of Duty and stuff. So I could see, because the first Titanfall was exclusive to Xbox, so I could see them trying to push for some exclusivity for the Titanfall game, and the next Titanfall game being like time exclusive stuff, similar to what they do with Call of Duty on PS4.
The DLC,
stuff. Yeah, I could see them doing that. Like, as far as what I want to see though, is I would like to see at least some acknowledgement to maybe some revival of some of the things that maybe made 360 so popular. Like, I honestly, I would like to see them bring a new Fusion Frenzy game, like talk about that, bring that to the table of something that's a possibility in the future.
Yeah. For me, one of the things I would love to see, I would like to see the reveal of Scarlet. I would like to see what it is, if they're going to have two versions of it, and what may be a exclusive game connected to it, like a launch title game that's like exclusively connected to it, that won't be on PlayStation, that won't be on PC, or that won't be on Switch or anything like that. Meaning that it'll still come on Game Pass, but it's just a game that just won't be on PC at all. If you want it, you have to buy it on Scarlet and Scarlet only. You can't play it on One or anything like that. So I kind of like to see that for their roadmap if they decide to do it. But that is going to be the show. You kind of want to know what you guys think for the roadmap for Microsoft. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Do you have your own idea about it? You guys can email the show at arsenalxpodcast@gmail.com. You can also let us know on our Facebook page at ArsenalXNGR's Radio Xbox Podcast Group. And you can follow us on Twitter at ArsenalX Podcast and on Instagram at ArsenalX Podcast. Also, guys, subscribe to the Arsenal Xbox channel on YouTube. You guys can win our Game of the Year discussion that we are going to choose. All you got to do is subscribe. Hit that red thing that says subscribe and hit that bell. Email us at arsenalxpodcast@gmail.com. What you think the game would be and your personal Game of the Year. And if we find out who gets it right, they will win that game. Yes, and also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Corey, where can we find you at?
You can find me at CoreyHD86 on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me on Nintendo Power Block and other content here on Nerds Gone Rogue.
Yes. Jesse, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at PhantomMaggot_AX.
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThatRetroCode. You can also check out Optional Opinion, SoundCloud, other podcast apps, Nintendo Power Block, Pod and Play, and other content here on NGRradio.com and on our personal YouTube pages. So with that, everybody, we're going to throw it the X one more time as we yawn.
Yeah. I'm like dying.
And we will see you guys next time for Arsenal X. We are going to try to do the Home Alone commentary, so hopefully you guys will be able to check that out.
Yes.
If
got this nice beast. It's the Home Alone Funko Pop. It's got you got like a actual Kevin's hat that he wears in the movie. It came with it.
And also to let you guys know that at the end of the month of December, we will be recording our Game of the Year discussion. And then we're going to take a break after that. So have a great week. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you guys next time on Arsenal X Podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.